Hello everyone, this is Simran Mendon and welcome to Shelf Life, a podcast about books, their philosophy and with a book.
Hello everyone. Welcome back to Shelf Life, a podcast where we discuss books, their philosophies, but most importantly, our personal relationship with a book. And today we have our very first guest on Shelf Life. It is none other than the other half of Shelf Life, the person behind all the creatives that you see, the person who's done all the editing and the recording, mixing, all of that jazz. She is, besides being the most annoying person that I know, and really someone who gets on my nerves, she's also a blues musician who can dabble with a lot of other genres. And she is extremely talented, extremely hardworking, and nothing short of just amazing. It is my sister, Saachi Mendon.
Hello everyone.
Welcome. How do you feel about being here?
I'm very happy, very happy.
Yeah?
Super excited, yeah.
So I've been trying to get Saachi on this podcast since it started, which was 5 episodes ago. Not a lot of time has passed, but I absolutely couldn't manage to get her because she kept saying, I don't know anything about books.
I still can't believe you're trusting me with this.
We're having a conversation. We're just going to discuss what we like about books or movies. You know, you can just represent all the people who don't read books. You can be their representative and you can speak for them, stand for their rights.
I will.
Saachi feels very passionately about not reading.
That's not true. No, that's not true. I mean, I'm gonna get bashed for this. Forget it. I'm scared.
The thing is, I actually know what she was going to say. She was going to say, why do people read books when they can just watch the movie? But that's the thing. We read books because we want to travel to a world and stay there. We want to move.
I agree. I absolutely agree. But sometimes I don't have all the time in the world. I just feel like I can just watch a movie for 3 hours and then get on with my life. Sometimes I just don't have the temperament to sit in a place and read.
Yeah, you don't have the patience, basically.
I guess.
But what if it's a book that you really love? I mean, that's a great segue into the book that we're going to be talking about today, right?
I mean, it's not that I don't read. I have read some books.
Like 5 books.
But, I only read books that, Simran really sits on my head and really forces me to read. And I do like most of them. And I want to go back to reading, but I don't know. I just can't stick to one book.
That's fine. I think that's fine. As long as you watch the movie and then talk about how the book sucked or the movie was better. Anyway, so it's a great segue into the book that we're going to be talking about today, because it is a book that Saachi absolutely loves. And I mean, she hasn't stopped talking about the book since she read it. She's watched the movie like 1 million times. She still insists that the movie is better than the book, right?
I watched the movie first. So, even when I was reading the book, I was visualizing the characters that I saw in the book. I was visualizing the actors. So, I don't actually know the book without the movie.
That's interesting. I actually don't know a lot of movies without books. Did I say that right? Or is it the other way around? Like, I don't know. When I read a book and I know that there's a movie been made on it, sometimes I just want to stay away from the movie because I feel like it's just going to ruin whatever image I had in my mind about the book. Like, something's going to fall short, right? It's just going to, I don't know. It won't live up to it.
Don't judge the movie. How dare you?
How dare I? Yeah. Anyway, so a book that Saachi absolutely loves, and the only one that she was ready to talk about to spend half an hour on was Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. Now, I really love the book too. I'm gonna be honest. I have my issues with it. I don't think it's the best book ever, but it's a good book. I agree. Yeah, it's a good book. What do you think?
It's the greatest book ever written.
Better than the Bible.
Oh yeah.
Okay, Saachi, let's get into it quick. What's your strongest memory of the book?
My strongest memory. Okay, so one thing that I remember clearly in my head is reading this book on the train, and then spoiler
Are you trying
alert,
to imitate me?
Yeah, I'm trying to imitate you.
Okay, continue. Sorry.
So it's the part where we realize that Amy tells us that her husband Nick has been having an affair, and the way I'm not supposed to give spoilers.
No. Go ahead.
So she tells us that he's been having an affair, and she tells us how she realizes it. So in the movie, we find out that in like a minute. That's it. But when we're reading the book, I think a whole chapter is dedicated to that.
Exactly.
And it moves you. Like I could not bear the pain. The way she describes it and the pain that she feels. I had to keep the book down and, take a minute to breathe and feel what I was feeling, because you're so angry with this man.
Right.
And, if you read the book, you'll realize that Amy has done a lot of things and this man has just cheated. I mean, not just cheated, but compared to Amy, his sins are, nothing.
Okay, wait. Before we get into the characters and their sins, let's just explain to, if there's anyone listening who hasn't read the book, we are going to be giving some spoilers away, so check out for that. But I don't think it ruins the experience of reading the book. I never feel that. I feel like people who say that, oh my God, you've just given out a spoiler, I don't want to read it now. I don't really get that. Like, just read it. It's okay. The experience of reading doesn't change just because you know how it's going to end. Whatever, I'm going off track. So let's just explain a bit about the book, okay?
Okay.
So Gone Girl is about two people essentially, right? Nick and Amy, who are married, and they live in a small town. And on the morning of their 5th wedding anniversary, Amy disappears, right?
Yep.
And there's an entire media scandal, and a lot of their marriages put out in the public. Nick becomes the prime suspect. Her own husband becomes the prime suspect. And yada yada yada. Basically, Amy plots her own disappearance and essentially flames her own husband. And the whole book is about you really getting to know these two people and their absolutely like disgusting minds, and just how cracked they were and how cracked that relationship was, right? I mean, do you think that's about it? Did I miss anything?
I mean, this is how the story starts, and then you'll come to know a lot of things that go down.
Right, a lot. There's a lot of I really love the fact that the writer really wrote about like so every chapter in the book is either of the two's monologues.
Yeah, that was my favorite part.
So it's written almost like a diary entry, right? Yeah, and it's so cool. I really love that format. You actually get to live a character for a chapter, right?
Yeah. And it's like reading two different books altogether. You don't really understand what is the truth.
Yeah, what is the truth?
Sides. There is no truth.
There is no truth. I agree. That's really cool. There is no truth. There's just sides to every story. And, we can talk about Nick and Amy for as long as we want to, but there's one theme that I really want to get into, like, that I want us to discuss specifically on today's episode, which is the theme of some concept that I really want to put in front of you. Concept you might have heard, you might have come across, you maybe have never heard of it, it's okay. But I'm just going to get into it. So it's something called Manic Pixie Dream Girl.
Ta-da!
You wanna explain, Saachi?
No, I think you should do it.
You don't wanna do the explaining?
You do it with your fancy voice.
Okay, I'm gonna do it with my fancy voice. Manic Pixie Dream Girl is basically a stock character in films. It's been pointed out by film critics, and it's basically a female character who's very dreamlike, and that you only meet in the movie or the book through the man's point of view. You know, she enters the man's life to just turn it upside down, and she is, you know, she's wild and reckless and beautiful, and you never really completely know her. She doesn't really have flaws or insecurities. She is very dreamy and very unattainable, very she will turn your life upside down, right? That's what Manic Pixie Dream Girl is. And if I have to give you an example of that, do you have any examples to give, Saachi? Like, can you think of
Yeah,
any?
there are actually so many examples. If you all have seen Jab We Met, the Hindi movie,
Yeah.
Geet from that character. So the story starts off where Shahid Kapoor is a sad guy, and Geet comes into his life and changes his life.
Yeah.
So that is exactly what Manic Pixie, and she disappears, so it's like
perfect Manic Pixie Dream Girl. Yeah. It totally fits the type. The guy is the sad, depressed, lonely guy who's looking for some, you know, wonder and awe in his life, and this girl just comes in who's bubbly and full of energy and enthusiasm. She doesn't really have any human qualities, right? She's just like out of a fairy tale. And basically very devoid of human flaws and insecurities, and just like she doesn't have a character graph.
Just like a box of surprises. You never know what this woman is going to do next.
Right.
She surprises the hero and she surprises the audience, and I think that's what, you know, gets us hooked.
Really? Don't you think Manic Pixies are extremely predictable in the way that they are the same throughout the book, right? Throughout the movie.
Because they've reused and repeated this character in so many movies and books and so many times.
Right.
And now we know. But we are all initially, you know, very drawn to this person that we don't really understand. We don't understand how they are so, you know, free.
Free. That's a great word to describe Manic Pixies. They are free. I'd like to point out here that, you know, John Green, if you've read, of course you've come across John Green's books, right? Fault in Our Stars, blah, blah, blah. All of his books have Manic Pixie characters, like all of them, which is why I really, I have my issues with John Green. Basically, there's a lot of debate over whether Manic Pixies are, you know, very unfeministic, and if they should even be a type of character. Like, do you think they should exist? Do you think we need Manic Pixie Dream Girls?
I mean, it's almost like having an entertainer in this movie. This woman is here to entertain.
Right.
And it cannot be a feminist point of view. Because, you know, you never know who this woman is. How can her purpose only be to entertain this man?
Right, yeah. It's not feministic at all. It's
and
not
that
human.
Guy doesn't even meet her halfway.
Yeah.
This woman is bending over backwards trying to get him out of his
shell.
Yeah. And she doesn't really get anything in return.
Yeah. She doesn't. So basically, with relation to Gone Girl, what I really wanted to think about and discuss, and what Saachi and I have debated and argued about in private for a very long time, is this one question. Was Amy Elliott Dunn, was her character a Manic Pixie Dream Girl? What do you think, Sa?
I mean, when I first read the book or watched the movie, I didn't really. She's not the traditional Manic Pixie how you would imagine. I mean, you think of this quirky, bubbly, you know, chirpy girl who's just happy all the time.
Right.
And Amy Dunn doesn't give you that feel. She gives you a very mature, almost the kind of person who won't let you know. Okay, not mature, but she doesn't let you know what she's feeling. The whole movie is about how she has hidden herself completely.
But, I mean, won't you agree that she tried to be a Manic Pixie Dream Girl right from the start? She tries to be the perfect wife, the perfect girlfriend, the dream girl for her husband. She tries to be a Manic Pixie Dream Girl. Don't you think?
She tried to be the perfect woman for Nick for sure, but maybe we don't feel like she was Manic Pixie because maybe this this bubbly, quirky character is not what Nick needed. Maybe Nick would have never been attracted to a woman like that. So she turned herself into exactly what he would have wanted. Maybe that's why we don't feel that she's the perfect mold of Manic Pixie.
Okay, so essentially what you're saying is that Manic Pixies in general, they just are. They don't have to try to be Manic Pixie. You don't have to, if you're trying to be Manic Pixie, then you're not. Right? Is that somewhat close to what you were saying?
I guess.
Yeah, but I feel like Amy, I feel like Gillian Flynn wrote this book. She wrote Amy's character mainly because she got so sick of like that Manic Pixie Dream Girl concept, and she purposely put this character who is so wicked and just problematic and absolutely attention seeking and all of those sinful things.
Don't talk about Amy like that.
We have an Amy fan here. We'll get to that. But I feel like she got all these things in this woman and still made her look attractive and likable. And, she's amazing Amy in the book. That's how she's described, right? And so I think she was trying to tell you that this whole concept is just one big lie. And she does it violently. Like, if you put women in boxes, they are going to break out. What do you think?
But it's not like Nick forced her to be anything. She was desperate to be loved. Or I don't know for what reason she decided to, be the woman that Nick would have liked.
Right.
I don't know, maybe it stems from, this need to be accepted by this man that she wanted.
Or maybe she just grew up watching a lot of movies with that character. Maybe she grew up like you.
Oh, shut up. Don't you think she would have, gone for the traditional type of Manic Pixie Dream Girl?
But she was that. She is, she's described...
She was not quirky or bubbly at all.
Of course she was. She's described as like the life of the party. She's described as amazing Amy, the girl who stands out. She is the first person you notice when you walk into a room, when she walks into a room. She is described like that. That's the idea that I got.
Amy as carefree? Or would you describe her as a meticulous planner who plans her own escape?
That's a very interesting question. I actually don't know. Amy, so that's the thing. I think Amy has such a strong dual personality throughout the book, right? I mean, the whole book is about how she has two very different sides to her. She's, extremely problematic that way. But she looks like she could be carefree. She looks the part. She looks like she could be the perfect wife, the perfect Manic Pixie. She could be anything. She tried to be. But in the end, you know that this person is just wrong on every level. Just wrong. If you are plotting your own disappearance, I have to tell you that you need help.
No, but why don't you tell them why it got to that point?
Look, I'm going to be very honest. I can't sympathize with Amy. I really can't. I sympathize more with Nick. I am that person, okay?
The
I just
cheating
can't.
husband, the boring, unemployed.
I mean, he was stable.
No,
okay, he was
not.
boring,
he was
but
draining her out. He was taking money from her insurance.
Okay.
He used her. He absolutely used her.
So she's gonna frame him for murder?
I mean, I don't want to give the whole plot away, but...
Right, we are getting really into the plot now. Let's not. Basically, you really can't decide which one was worse. They're both quite bad, right? And, that gets me to my next question that I really wanted to discuss with you. Do you think Nick and Amy, in some strange way, were just right for each other? Do you think there's a difference between being right for each other and being good for each other?
That's a really nice question.
I know. I think about these things.
So, I definitely don't think they were right for each other. I mean, anyone
really?
who... yeah. I mean, they were wrong for each other in every way. Because the main reason why they were wrong is because Nick never got to know Amy. She was playing a character. So, actually, none of us know who Amy really is.
But, I mean, if you remember correctly, Nick is the first person to realize what the kind of mind games that Amy's gonna play, and he says exactly the right thing that will get Amy back home. In that sense, maybe he does know her. Did we just give away everything?
You did, I didn't.
We are gonna get so screwed over this, but it's okay. I mean, what I mean is, do you think in a very wicked, problematic world, they just fit? The fact that they are so messed up somehow just fits.
I mean, that's the thing that we keep debating over, right? That why didn't she just leave him?
Yeah.
He was cheating.
Why does anyone stay?
Oh. I think you get comfortable. I think that as much as they hate each other, they still choose to be with each other. So there has to be some reason, and it has to be maybe you're just used to some people and some things.
Yeah.
It's easier to stay than start over.
I agree. But so then what do you think makes any relationship work? Wow, we're really getting into this, aren't we?
You answer this.
I think you need stability. You need comfort. Comfort makes a relationship work. Any relationship.
Comfort is what drove Amy mad. The reason why her main problem was that Nick is too comfortable. He doesn't put in any effort. He doesn't try to be the man that I married. He's not living up to what I wanted. What was expected of him.
Right. But
all that comes from getting too comfortable.
But excitement is fickle. You can't be excited your whole life. It's gonna go
be bored your whole life.
Boredom. I mean, this is gonna get really philosophical and stuff. But
I'd just philosophical every episode.
Right, but let's just cap it here. Boredom can be. I don't know why boredom has to be a negative thing. You can be comfortable with being bored as well. I don't think you need to necessarily
that's
equate.
Why they're different, right? So Nick and Amy, Nick was completely fine with the life they were living.
Right.
He was a boring guy living a boring life, and he was okay with it. But Amy is just not meant for that. I don't think she can ever live the same day over and over again.
But Amy is also the other extreme. She is chronically dissatisfied. She will never be satisfied by anything. You realize that?
Exactly why they're wrong for each other.
Exactly why they're right for each other. They are on the extreme ends of the same spectrum.
How can they possibly make it work if they're on extreme ends?
By hating each other instead of loving each other for the rest of their lives. Comfortably hating each other. I think that's how they're going to make it work. I think that's how most marriages work, right? Wow, we're ending on a very, very serious note. Anyway, I want to throw this question to you now because you're my first guest, because I love you. And because you agreed to come. in and share your very smart insights. Isn't she smart, guys? I think
Don't
Saachi.
answer that.
I think Saachi tried very hard to be smart today. Anyway, so our last question: why do you think this story was told?
Why do I think this story was told?
Don't act like you've never heard this before.
I think this story was told because there are way too many people stuck in boring relationships.
Oh Lord.
And they don't know what to do or how to get out of this. And you say it so, so with such, so casually that, just take a divorce. It's not that easy. So
the alternative is to plot your own disappearance.
No, the alternative is to read a book where a person plots their own disappearance and live your fantasies through that person.
Very good. That's why we read books. We read books because we want to live out our fantasies. That's a great way to end this episode. I am so glad you came, Saachi. You really, I mean, you really lit up this episode. And before I let you off, I just want to ask you something from my personal, what do you call it? Like, joy? I don't know. So, you know that I've written a book, right? I've published a book on Amazon.
Ages of Living.
The Ages of Living. You can check it out. We will put a link in the description. Basically, it's also a book about a married couple and their journey. We could, if I'm not, I don't want to give too much away, but I think I just want to ask you this for my personal satisfaction. Do you think Noor, who was the female character, the wife, do you think she was a Manic Pixie Dream Girl?
So, while reading the book, we realized that they are very different.
Right.
They're two very different people.
Right. Exactly why I asked you the question.
You don't feel like she's the one leading this relationship or she's the one entertaining him.
Right.
Or trying to, put on a show for this guy so that he can be happy.
Yeah, so that he can be interesting.
Yeah. It feels like they're just two opposite people.
Right. They just don't fit.
You can fit even if you're opposite, but...
maybe things are just not meant to be then.
Yeah.
Right. I mean...
Now you gave your own plot. Fool.
That's right. Let's hope we can edit that part out. Maybe not. Maybe we'll just keep it. Anyway, thank you so much for coming in. This was great fun.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to have you back sometime soon. And next week's book is another one of my favorites, Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov. If you haven't read it, check it out. If you still want to listen in and have fun, go ahead. We will be discussing it at length, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Now I'm all alone in this